In 1892, Union Printers of the United States and Canada erected the Union Printers Home, just over the city boundary of Colorado Springs, Colorado. Though modest in its appointments when first erected, the Union Printers Home has been developed at a cost of more than $16.5 million, all contributed from the pay envelopes of members of the International Typographical Union. The grounds were of usual bleak prairie type. There were no trees or flowers to grace the first edifice. Today, a photograph from the same position is almost an impossibility because of the huge trees that surround the building. Through the years, surrounding and adjacent grounds of the Union Printers Home have been improved to currently present a scene of grandeur with its abundant trees, flowers, and beautiful lawns and landscaping. The home grounds comprise more than 300 acres of land that has been made fertile by scientific methods. The buildings which make up the institution are located in the center of the beautiful and expansive park, abounding with trees and shrubs. Artistic walks, green lawns, and comfortable seats and resting places are to be found in shady nooks and spots included by trees and shrubs. Stately blue spruce, maple, cottonwood, and poplars provide protection from the sun's rays at midday and the mountain breezes of evening's twilight. Since the opening of the home, 8,600 printers and mailers have been admitted, 3/4 of whom have been returned to gainful occupations. During the last fiscal year, a total of 485 residents received service at the Union Printers Home. The staff of the Union Printers Home is also an important part of this great institution. The doctor, stenographer, the cook, dietitian, and farmhand. All are part of the 200 employees that keep the home operating efficiently. Through the courtesy of our armed forces, we have a closer air view of the Union Printers Home by helicopter. 3 principal buildings form the several departments of the Union Printers Home. The main building housing the hospital, administration, and medical departments. The sanatorium, built specifically for those suffering from tuberculosis and scientifically designed through years of research. And the dormitory, housing ambulatory members who in the evening of life come to the home for rest and a permanent place of abode. Let's follow one John Printer during his stay and experiences at the home from the time of his arrival to his departure. John Printer, having been approved by the admissions committee of the Board of Trustees, arrives in Colorado Springs, his health impaired by the stress and strain of exacting industrial life. Information as to the time of his arrival has been forwarded the superintendent of the home, and arrangements for his reception have been made. The group forming the alumni of the Printers Home is extensive. Many members living in every part of these United States and in Canada who have been benefited are grateful for the unpurchasable services received at the Union Printers Home. John Printer finds a welcome and sympathetic understanding immediately upon his arrival in the mountain city of Colorado Springs. Situated in the shadow of Pikes Peak, it has a population of 65,000. Although sick and distressed, John Printer is impressed when he enters the gate of the Union Printers Home. He is greeted at the administration office by a friendly and efficient member of the staff who enters him as a resident and records his case history. The superintendent welcomes him to the home and offers service to any of his problems which may arise during his stay. John Printer is now taken to the receiving ward where he receives immediate attention by doctors, nurses, and technicians. He undergoes a complete physical examination. The lab, eyes, ears, nose, throat, and X-ray. The Union Printers Home medical staff includes 3 resident physicians, a chief of staff, and 13 consultants, specialists in their field who make regular visits to the home. A total expenditure of $163,000 for regular and special medical services to residents of the home was made during the past year. Ah, this is what John Printer's been waiting for, a soft, comfortable bed to rest. And that's not all. Food, and just what the doctor ordered. Speaking of doctors, while John Printer enjoys his delectable meal and gets sufficient rest, his case history and other information is assembled, and the medical staff decides what the necessary steps are to put John Printer back to health. Information from each doctor, the x-rays, together with John Printer's verbal information, all make a final decision that an emergency operation not contemplated when he first arrived is necessary. Surgical work is carried out with the greatest efficiency. A general surgeon and a surgeon specializing in thoracic procedures are regularly retained on the Union Printer's home medical staff. Modern instruments in the hands of competent physicians and attendants result in the future health and happiness of our patient. To further the security of our patient, all prescriptions are compounded by the pharmacist at the home's drug supply service. Over 12,000 prescriptions have either been filled or refilled here during the past year. A further improvements record of John Printer is made by the staff cardiologist. On these pages, John Printer draws his own picture of a much brighter future. Progression reports must also be made by the staff nurses and medicines given as prescribed by the doctors. John Printer recovers most satisfactorily and is given further treatment to aid in his recovery. Every precaution is taken to avoid a setback as it benefits him as well as the system carefully set up by the home. As our patient recovers, his mind turns to the many friends at home and the duties left undone. And now, at last, he can make plans for them. John Printer is walking about, and as most all men, food is his first thought, so to the kitchen he goes. Would you look what we're having for dinner? Would you care to stay? There's a choice of fish, meat, or turkey with all the trimmings. There's always a good variety because of special diets and varied tastes. The chef and cooks at the home are tops in the culinary arts and prepare a menu that's equal to that of the finest hotels and restaurants in our country. Then, of course, there's the bakery. 2 full-time bakers keep the Union Printer's home well supplied with tasty products of their handiwork. 150 loaves of bread per day and 200 dozen variety rolls per week are prepared and served the home's family. In addition, the bakers prepare all desserts, including 100 gallons of ice cream and sherbet per week, together with varying amounts of cakes, pies, and puddings. The home's bakery adds much to the whole individualistic setup of the Union Printer's home, each product being planned and prepared on a homemade style rather than on a mass production basis. Holiday cakes from famous recipes the world over add that final touch to a baker's delight. For those who are confined to the hospital or are unable to eat in the cafeteria, there is room service for meals. The dietitian, a veteran in her field, supervises the menus as desired by each resident or as ordered by the doctor. The trays are delivered to the proper place at the proper time. This means much to the individual and to the home as well, because while proper medicines are important, proper food is equally so. A nurse's aide assists a very pleasant patient with his noonday meal. This is a typical room in the hospital section of the home, each one private and modern. Food is served cafeteria style so the individual may choose the dish and amount he wishes. Of course, there are some residents on diets, so carefully planned menus are portioned out to the individual's requirements, keeping them in much better health. Many tastes must be satisfied here at the home. The Southerner who likes his chicken Southern fried, the Northerner who likes it with dumplings, and then the man from the West who prefers his taters pan-fried, and the Easterner mashed with brown gravy. The home chefs seem to have an unequal talent for keeping everyone happy despite these differences. The meal is completed with fresh milk from our own dairy, coffee or tea, and a dessert of usually homemade ice cream or the special of the day. Waitresses help those with their trays who are unable to help themselves. The total cost of food for the home during its last fiscal year was $200,000. Much more money than John Printer could ever imagine spending, so we'll let him eat heartily and make new friends. The center of most activities for printers and mailers is the recreation room. John Printer may get himself into a tight spot here. He's challenged the home's best checker player, and whoa, John Printer is lost. The recreation room also contains pool tables where tournaments are frequently held. This always attracts many spectators, and the players are really behind the ball. Approximately a dozen television sets placed in auditoriums, recreation rooms, and elsewhere furnish a great deal of entertainment, especially on fight nights, to the residents. In all instances, these television sets have been donated to the Union Printers Home, either by local unions or friends of the Union Printers Home. The residents operate a canteen which offers much to their convenience. It stocks most everything you might wish. The canteen is operated on a very close margin. Profits are used for parties and prizes. Here, John Printer meets one of the 25 women residents. They, too, are all members of the ITU. Our printer spends much time in the library, reading many books from the home's extensive collection. Books for the library were, for the most part, contributed by members of the ITU and those persons friendly to the printers and their welfare. The library also contains an extensive collection of daily newspapers from all parts of the country. Some are contributed, some are subscriptions. Here, most every man can find out what's news in his hometown. Two union barbers take care of the tonsorial needs of the residents in this first-class barber shop. Those who cannot come to the barber shop are served by the barbers in their rooms. The home's auditorium furnishes much in the way of social life for residents of the home. A committee of the home's staff plans constantly for different types of entertainment. The residents of the Union Printers Home are always a good audience, regardless of the nature of the activity. They show a great interest in public and especially union affairs. The auditorium also holds monthly chapel meetings held as reminiscent gatherings in composing rooms throughout the North American continent. Church services for all religious beliefs are also held in the auditorium. Always a favorite are the cinema programs and occasional extras furnished by the canteen. Song fests are often held, singing all the old favorite songs loved by everyone, and is usually furnished by the city's local talent. Yes, all is appreciated at the Union Printers Home and equally enjoyed by all. John Printer is regaining his health more rapidly as the weeks pass. The home's medical staff also includes a radiologist, 2 practitioners in internal medicine, a urologist, a neuropsychiatrist, an otolaryngologist, an ophthalmologist, a cardiologist, and a dental surgeon. Our patient, John Printer, is now permitted to go outdoors. There were many places of interest he'd seen through the home's windows, and now at last he can make a tour to see just what constitutes this vast organization of brotherhood. Through a mutual acquaintance, John Printer receives word that an old friend, Bill Mailer, contracted tuberculosis a few months ago and has since been a patient in the home sanatorium. As he walks, he realizes how fortunate he and Bill Mailer are to be able to benefit from this vast organization of men. Though visits are brief at this time, close friends are reunited and future visits are planned. The best equipment for treatment of tuberculosis and experts in chest ailments are available. Union Printer's home physicians suggest that every member of the ITU be x-rayed at intervals of 6 months, as tuberculosis is an insidious disease and is often prevalent without the complete knowledge of the victim. Autumn is a beautiful season at the Printer's home. Trees and shrubs attire themselves in all the colors nature has to offer. Even the birds take advantage of the beautiful array of colors and put their version into song. Yes, even the giant trees to the front of the home begin to take the delicate hues of autumn. It seems as though Mother Nature has put her all into the home's sunken garden. It's a favorite place for residents as well as the staff members' noon-hour strolls. Another building which has interested our friend very much is the powerhouse. It houses the heating and cooling systems, carpenter shop, laundry, and refrigeration plants. One of the primary rules of the home is cleanliness. To carry out this requirement, the home operates its own laundry. The matter of keeping over 400 residents in clean clothes, the hospital in clean linens and towels, the nurses and hospital attendants in clean uniforms, as well as uniforms for workers in the dining rooms, kitchens, refrigeration plants, and meat departments, is no small task. The Union Printer's home laundry launders over 6,000 pounds of laundry per week. Also in this department, all mending of the home's linens, uniforms, and residence clothing is done. As one can readily see, professional equipment and a professional job is produced here, whether it's a sheet or a shirt. And speaking of shirts, they're all done by hand, and every printer and mailer knows there's nothing more important in dress than a well-laundered shirt. Incidentally, while on the subject of clothing, the home furnishes practically all items of wearing apparel to the residents. Those who come to the home are required to bring sufficient clothing to last for a reasonable time. But those who come for a permanent home have their wardrobes replenished after their initial supply has been used. This building also contains 2 large walk-in type refrigerators where all fresh and cured meats are kept until needed. Much of the meat here is produced right at the home, so it looks as if John Printer will have to continue his tour. The meat in these refrigerators is all slaughtered by government-inspected plants, and say, look at those steaks. Is there a cook in the house? Look at the bacon and hams in this refrigerator, and all produced right at the home. These refrigerators are in the basement of the powerhouse and connected to the main building by a network of underground tunnels, as are all other buildings. Here, too, labor-saving methods are used. This is done right at the refrigerators to select only that meat required for the daily menu. In another section of the underground system is the cold storage plant. Here, part of the home's annual 32,000 dozen eggs are stored, along with fruits and vegetables. While in the freezer section of this department, fruits, vegetables, fish, chickens, and turkeys are stored until needed. With the temperature around 0, one is not to linger longer than necessary in this little America of the Union Printer's home. Adjacent to the lockers is the warehouse where all staple foods are stored. Quantities drawn are determined by the daily menu. As in all phases of the home's operations, only the best is accepted, and efficiency is the key to good management. He's seen most everything now, so he returns to the main buildings. But wait, while he's been here and there, he's almost missed a very important person, the one who keeps this large household running so smoothly. She is the matron, responsible for all furnishings and household equipment. During the past year, this amounted to approximately $7,000. Also, clothing for the residents at a cost of $4,000. These figures give some idea of the multiplicity of minor duties as head of this large house. Also, under the direction of Mrs. Patterson, social work is being carried on. She has met the lawful requirements of the state of Colorado in this phase of her activities. In everyone's life, there must be someone to talk to, someone to help solve personal problems. Mrs. Patterson is known the home over for this quality of lending a helping hand. John Printer receives his final examination and checkup by the medical department, and John Printer is informed that he has received the maximum amount of care that can be given him. Our John Printer must be prepared to return to his normal living. He is given a thorough checkup by the home's dentist. Next, a complete eye examination to correct any eye changes since he first entered the home. Now he's ready to return to his work, improved in mind and spirit. He bids goodbye to his checker-playing friend and the many other friends he has made at the home and will never forget. He now understands why they call this great institution a home, because it has become just that to John Printer. Our John Printer considers himself the most fortunate person on earth right now, and he is fortunate. A short time ago, he felt as if everything was lost and with a much dimmer future. Now he stands on his own 2 feet again and ready to show this old world you can't keep a good man down, thanks to the Union Printers Home. Transportation and details were previously arranged for our John Printer as he boards the train for his hometown to rejoin family and friends. As his train departs from Colorado Springs, there is no deviation of thought on the part of John Printer. He will be forever grateful for services extended to him at the home. He will think of the home itself and the many acquaintances he had made. Gratefulness is in his heart for those who were so kind and helpful to him in the time of dire need. The men on whose shoulders these problems rest are from practically every geographical section of North America, including yours and mine, giving their best interests in the purpose of the home and residence. For several generations, the Board of Trustees has rendered service in building an institution which has become the pride of every Union printer and a place to be admired by all. To our John Printer, this is a priceless reality. His membership in the International Typographical Union, an organization which practices altruism, assumes the role of my brother's keeper, and truly provides a bounty unpurchasable.